Hello, my name is Ilona, and in this video I'm going to do a recap of my Dutch video. And I've talked a little bit about what's going on now in the Netherlands. We have like a government crisis, so to speak, and it has to do with the nitrogen and the crisis, of course, that's affecting the farmers. They, of course, the government have plans that the parties that are in the government, they agreed about that. They agreed about the nitrogen crisis, but now one of the party members of the government, Wopke Hoekstra, has decided that he's going to step away from a certain part of that agreement. So yesterday there was a lot of discussions going on what they were going to do about it. They came back from their recess, their holiday, so to speak, to talk about this. There is a lot of problems with the refugees that are being taken care of here in the Netherlands. They've taken hotels to use for that kind of house the refugees. And right now there is a place in Ter Apel where they have refugees sleeping outside because there isn't enough places to accommodate them. And it's a really big issue. So the entire refugees are an issue. We have the nitrogen issues. Really, the Dutch government is on its last legs, so to speak. That's how I view things. But of course, we just have to wait and see. One of the most important persons, Mevrouw Kaag, wasn't there. She was in the hospital, so she couldn't attend the discussions yesterday. There is so much going on. You can really see it collapsing. That's the feeling I'm getting. And to be very honest, I already explained it, of course, in my Dutch video. It just feels like a bunch of puppets. It really just feels like a puppet show that I'm watching. So it really doesn't mean that much to me anymore. And it's, of course, depends on your own perspective. If you see it as something horrible, well, they're just pushing through their agenda. But there is so much backlash right now from the people, from the city councils who are now being forced to just take in refugees. The provinces are saying this is not what we want. There is so much backlash coming. The parties themselves, where of course the government or the people from the government belong to, are, the people in the party are like, this is not the way we want to do this policy. We're not standing behind this anymore. So their own party is pretty much collapsing, especially the party of our Prime Minister, Mark Rutte, the VVD. There are a lot of people in the VVD who are not happy with what he's doing. And to me, this feels like this is the puppet show for the people that are just not awake and don't fully understand what's going on. This is not for the people in the truth community, so to speak. So that's how I feel. I'm not going to really do a card reading. It's going to collapse. Sooner or later, this government is going to collapse. These puppets need to disappear. They need to be exchanged for true people that really are here for the Netherlands. And this is, of course, worldwide. We need people taking care of humanity, and we need to see ourselves as humanity. I also mentioned messages that I put on my Telegram channel from Storm Rider. He is a Telegram channel as well, the Storm Rider. And he's got a lot of great messages. At least I usually put it on my channel and I translate for people that have, they don't speak English that well. Well, translate, it means I just put it in a program pretty much. But he's talking about the truth community and that not everything is clear what is going on. And it's very interesting because that's what it feels like to me as well, that this is a war and not everyone fully understands this. Let's see. We're inside a war. You have the good guys, the bad guys, and in between you have the infiltrators. The infiltrations exist on both sides of the war. So you have to understand, he's also talking about General Flynn. It's very difficult to plays him, but he has an important role to play, to show things. Whatever question you have on Flynn is connected to D-class. Future courts. We expect Flynn to be indicted in the future for crimes that will expose the dark military. So what he's talking about is it will be hard for freedom fighters to understand what's happening as the movement divides into who is telling the truth. Is it Flynn, Wood, Juan O'Savin, Simon Parks? And ultimately it doesn't matter. This high intense military operation is on the way, and the twist and plot will blow your mind. Nothing is what it seems. It's all placed and planned. And Mr. T is highly informed with what's happening. Hint, follow the words of Cash. He will tell you who to trust. So it's very honest, and he even mentions a certain thing, a certain video. You must understand, and this is about a video I think from Jaco with 2 other people, what they are speaking about and know is a small portion of the truth. The puzzle of Flynn is connected to the future of indictments and is connected to the dark military. So it's very important to understand the few of these 3 in this conversation only touches on the small minimal percentage of what's happening. The real script is beyond your thoughts. Only the future will prove the past. And I have to say, I think that's important to understand, that that we just don't know everything, and it's very difficult to maneuver in who's telling the truth, who isn't. Then it's very important to really connect with your inner compass, with God, with your intuition, and trust what you see and what you feel, if it resonates with you or not. Like any video that you watch, my videos, any video, see if it resonates with you, because that is your compass. That is what you should follow. To be very honest, I have this deep trust that everything is going to be all right. So it's almost like I can look at things neutral, like what's happening now in the government here in the Netherlands. It's really a mess. And I could just look at it. It's like, yeah, they're collapsing. It's falling apart, and that's fine. So I don't get caught up into it. And there are a lot of things going on. It may look like it's going the wrong way. It may look like the dark is winning, just like what happened, of course, with Mr. T and with Mar-a-Lago. But ultimately, when you look at it now, the effect is immense. The backlash and all these connecting the dots for people who are not aware, who are not awake, they can see it now. Just like what's happening now in the Netherlands. People can watch it here in the Netherlands who usually, well, they're not on alternative media. They're just watching the normal news, and they see all these things happening. And right now it is getting just a ridiculous situation, and it's all around the world. All these countries and these governments in these positions with these ridiculous agendas that are just being pushed, and people are like, why are they still pushing this? But I do believe that it's all part of the white hats as well, to show the dark energies, the dark agendas. So I got a card reading on these messages from Storm Rider. The first card I got is the King of Pentacles. The central card is the Sun. The card in the past is the Three of Cups. The card underneath the central card is the World. And then for the near future, the future, we have the Four of Cups and the Four of Swords. So that's interesting, 2 fours. And I got another card, and that's the Eight of Wands. So to me, this feels like this is all planned. This is this humongous chess game that they're playing. So it will look like sometimes the dark energies are in control and they do things, but it usually, the white hats are using it to turn it around. Like I've mentioned with Mar-a-Lago, it's now actually in the favor of Mr. T, and so many connections are coming out, like the judge involved is connected to Epstein. So we have that connection and things coming out about that. so much is happening. The people involved from that agency actually are connected to what happened with Russia. People are now seeing everything. And this is especially for the people that are not aware and not awake. This is not for the truth community who already see and already are connecting the dots. This is for the large group of people who are still in their bubbles. So this is a plan, it's all planned out at a very, very high level. So just because something may seem negative doesn't mean that ultimately it will be used in another way. Just like with what Storm Rider is mentioning about General Flynn, what side he is on doesn't really matter, because ultimately it will be used for good, in a good way. So things will be exposed. And this is the central card. This is about exposing. The sunlight is shining on things, and this is a beautiful new energy coming in. So this feels to me, especially in combination with the world, that this is a good, they will say the light has won, and that's the feeling I'm getting. That's the trust I'm feeling, that it's going to be all right. In the end, everything is going to be right. We're heading towards this new earth, this new way of living, and nothing can stop it. Nothing. So it's very important to have that basic trust, because if you do, then life will get easier for you. You won't be manipulated that easily. And to me, especially with these cards, it's showing that what the Storm Rider is mentioning, it's done at a very, very high level, and nothing can stop it, and it's all necessary. And he also mentions that the courts in America are not going to be used for that. They are corrupt, they are infiltrated by the dark energies. So the military is the only way to really lead this to a good conclusion. And I do believe that worldwide we're heading towards that. It will be necessary. And of course, these two cards show us that in the near future, this is about pushing people, really showing them that, this is about being dissatisfied, not happy with what's going on. And this is really showing people and maybe even isolating them again. So it's a possibility they're going to put some restrictions up again before the military will take over. But it is to let people connect with themselves again. That is so important, to connect with God, with your intuition, because then you can trust that this is going to be all right. And that's so necessary. But people need to be pushed out of their comfortable bubble. And especially here, if I look at the Netherlands, a lot of people are outside of their comfort now, are getting angry, are standing up. The farmers, luckily, are still standing strong, which is beautiful to see. They're not giving up. And I think that's necessary for people to see. And worldwide, farmers aren't giving up. Truckers aren't giving up. People around the world wanting the truth, wanting a new world, wanting true benefit for humanity. They're standing up, but this is going to get a little tougher. It is necessary for people to wake up, to have the biggest part of humanity understanding that something's wrong, something needs to be done. And this is the last card I got, and this implies that a lot of things are going to happen. This is about swift action. So we are really in the chaotic part of this. Well, like I said, I don't want to mention it as a movie, but we are really in the chaotic part. Lots of things are happening. A false flag can still happen with devastating effects. The dark energies are still capable of doing certain things. Of course, the light has won, especially with this combination. But that doesn't mean that things can't happen, that there are still not victims anymore. That is still possible. The dark energies can still do damage. Not at the global level that they wanted, because let's face it, if it was up to them, we would still be all still in restrictions till I think 2025, and then something, the wasp sting would come. That would be completely mandatory, so no one could escape that if you were still alive then. So they don't have that control anymore, but it doesn't mean that they cannot do certain damages. And the white hats kind of follow that along. So there, it is a chess game. They do how do you say this? Do something, and then they'll see how the dark energies are going to react and what the dark energies want to do and plan, and then they will kind of see what they can do to limit the damage. But certain things cannot be avoided. You have to understand that is unfortunately part of this war. This is a war. There are going to be victims, and we have to understand that I do believe that the white hats pretty much have taken over a lot of things, but they're still dark energies. They're not going to just take over. And like I've mentioned before, this is about humanity understanding what is going on. So if the white hat would just come in and take over everything, people aren't waking up. And then they will just follow the white hats. And if that attitude doesn't change, in no time we'll have dark energies again. This is about stepping up and standing in our own authority without giving away our powers. So that's very, very important. That's why they can't just step in. And like I've mentioned, there are still dark energies who can do a lot of damage. So they're working on a very, very high level. I'd like to leave it at this, and I hope to see you in another video. Bye.